Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. Let's do this out here at the Broad House, out here until 6:30. The big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz is out here. He's getting ready to do the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, only station in town, giving you a 1 hour plus pregame show before every Brewers game all season long. Here from Pat Murphy from before the game. Also, Shelby Miller talked to the media today, as well as he is headed to the IL. They call up UL Payams. I know. Don't let's all boo at once, but they call up Yoel Payams. He's coming up from the minor leagues. He'll be pitching out of the bullpen for the Milwaukee Brewers in place of Shelby Miller, whose season appears to be done at this point with the UCL joint sprain possibly. So we'll have all of that, and we'll look at down at the minors with Building a Winner segment with the Iron Workers coming up with Tommy Wirtz from, again, 5 until 6:30 out here at the Broad House on Old World 3rd Street. Come on out, say hi. Baseball calls for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea made with real iced tea, real vodka, refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's perfect game day sipper. Did you know, Charlie using that here at the Broad House, they do coach bus rides to Packer games?
Ooh, coach bus rides.
Did you know that they do VIP tailgate parties when you get up there?
All right.
As well.
All right. Nice.
So I'm looking at this here, and you can purchase a round-trip bus ticket with access to the bar's VIP tailgate as well. Purchase a round-trip bus ticket just by itself, or purchase just a tailgate party wristband either. And I was asking, I was like, so you have to have a ticket to the Pack game? She's like, no, people just take the coach bus up there, go bar hopping around, and then get back on the bus at the end and come on back. What do you think of that, Charlie?
Doesn't get much better than that. I mean, that's real easy. Get all the way to Green Bay, man. Come on. I'm hopping on that any day, all day.
And I'm telling you, if you've ever been up in Green Bay for a Packer game, you know those bars are packed at this point. It's something you want to take advantage of, and you don't got to worry about drinking or driving or nothing. You just get on the bus and head on up on the Milwaukee Broad House party bus. And they also have shuttles to and from Brewers home games as well, including the Brewers game 2 tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies. So all kinds of great things going on out here at the Broad House. Time now for our favorite segment at 4.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
Our green and gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, as you just heard. Let's get to our injury report that we got from the Green Bay Packers as we sit here today. It's Wednesday, mind you, right? We really don't necessarily have to be too focused or concerned about this until Friday. But as of today, this is where we are at. The Lions did not practice today. So their practice designation for today are based on estimations. Let's see here. Anybody of note? Isaac Tesla, is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Tesla, like the car, right? That is a dude, I think, in fantasy football, if you haven't done your draft yet, you should consider a rookie that has looked good so far in preseason and in training camp, wide receiver. He's sick. So they put him as limited. Other than that, nobody else to note. The Green Bay Packers, Zane Anderson, safety, knee, limited participation. Nate Hobbs, still no participation with that knee. It's not looking good, I don't think, for Sunday for Nate Hobbs. Elton Jenkins, hip. Limited participation. He should be fine to play. Jordan Love, left thumb, full participant. He's obviously going to play. Micah Parsons back. Obviously, we've been talking about that all day today. They list him as limited participant. Jaden Reed with that foot. Remember, he's been hobbling around for weeks with that walking boot. He still did not participate. I'm wondering whether or not he'll actually play. Baron Sorrell, the defensive lineman who they just drafted, knee, limited participation. Dontavian Wicks, calf, limited participation. And Savion Williams, the wide receiver they took from the 3rd round, hamstring, limited participation. So only no participants here are Jaden Reed and Nate Hobbs. I don't know how much really at the end of the day either one of those will have an effect on this game, but I do know this. I feel a lot better about both those positions if both those dudes are healthy at the end of the day, Charlie.
Oh, I think both those guys have a pretty big impact on the game for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, as we sit, I know Matthew Golden's been phenomenal in camp, but the Packers don't have a wide receiver one, and there was points last season where Jaden Reed looked like he was going to be the game changer for them a lot of those games. So I think that's something you have to look at here and say, you know what, that's one less person to be able to step up in this game against a divisional opponent in the Detroit Lions. And on the other side of the ball, Nate Hobbs is a guy that you signed essentially to be your cornerback one. This is the most talented player in that cornerback room right now. And the fact that he's not on the field, and I know you have a Micah Parsons, but right now we don't even really know if Micah Parsons will for sure be playing in week one. He could only be getting 20 snaps. So I think you want the best defensive back group you can possibly have out there. And if Nate Hobbs isn't there, then that's a big hit in a room that isn't the strongest by any means on this team.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's the one thing that you have to kind of watch for a little bit here. I think if you're the Green Bay Packers, like that time about Micah Parsons early, it's not worth winning this week to sacrifice players for weeks after that by putting somebody other that's not ready and then having a more long-term injury going forward. I'd rather you be safe and conservative with Hobbs and with Jaden Reed and with Micah Parsons and Dontavian Wicks. If you go out there and you get thumped because you're playing without 8 guys, that's not going to bother me in week one. It will bother me in the playoffs if you could have prevented long-term injury had you not played these guys earlier in the year and then they have a long-term injury, then I will be mad, Charlie.
And I get that. I also feel like if you don't play them in this first week, especially guys like Nate Hobbs and Jaden Reed, and both of them are not healthy later on in the season too at that point and aren't helping in the playoffs either at that point in the season, I don't know. That's way more frustrating to me than you try playing them now.
Right.
You try to win a divisional game and you try to see what you have with some players that need to take next steps in this system. Jaden Reed, especially. Nate Hobbs is his first year, but you want to see him kind of step into that 1 or 2 cornerback role right away. If both those guys aren't showing that early on and then they continue to do this later on in the season, like I think we saw a lot with a guy like Jair Alexander last season.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a lot more frustrating than you tried hard now and you get hurt later on in the season versus just kind of staying hurt the whole year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Charlie, using there. See Sparky Fifer here at the Broad House, Overall 3rd Street. Come on down. Hang out with us. Take the shuttles to and from the Brewers game. Also, you can learn more about those coach bus rides and tailgate parties that they do for Packer games by simply going to MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com, MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com. They also do these coach bus rides to Alpine Valley as well. I know you're a big music guy, Charlie.
I am
so
a
you
big
could
music guy.
take advantage of that too. All right, Matt LaFleur talked a little bit earlier today and had numerous different things to say earlier today concerning numerous different things, including Micah Parsons' back injury, Charlie. And it's funny because everybody's going to want to dig into this and read into everything. But he talked about whether or not he thinks Micah will be ready to go for week number 1 against the Detroit Lions.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we're still he's doing everything in his power. He's rehabbing hard. You know, we've got to get through a couple practices to see how he responds, to see how he does. But certainly hopeful.
Okay, that's good. But he really didn't say anything of note. He's hopeful. You would like to hear him say as a Packer fan, yeah, he's playing. Like, don't worry about it. He's good. But obviously we're not at that point with that back to make that statement. We'll see how this progresses throughout the week. Plus, they also asked him about Micah Parsons trying to catch up to everybody else. He hasn't been in training camp. With the Cowboys, he wasn't practicing. He's not practicing here. So there's some stuff that goes into maybe putting some extra work in, right? Whether it be, doing extra stuff, trying to get to the endurance level up and so forth. This is what he had to say.
No, I mean, we've had a lot of meetings with him. So we're very fortunate. I would say he's got an extremely high football IQ. You can tell just sitting down with him for even in limited time, like this guy's a smart guy. So I don't think he'll have any issues. And certainly as you game plan, you kind of shrink your playbook. So you're pretty specific with what you're going to ask him to do. But I don't foresee that being a problem. I think he's got a high capacity, just a really smart guy.
I'm glad he's smart. That makes me feel a lot better. That really doesn't change anything, though. I go to my football guy, Charlie Usen, who played at the prestigious Elmhurst University down in Illinois. Charlie Usen, you tell me, how hard is this going to be for him having no ramp-up time whatsoever and having to go out on the football field and play, and not only play, but possibly play with a back that's bothering him?
I think LaFleur's right here where it shouldn't really hinder him all that much. I think at Elmhurst, yeah, guys are going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. Those are D3 college football players that are still learning how to play football. Micah Parsons is an NFL veteran at this point, and not just an NFL veteran, but also one of the best players in the NFL, maybe one of the best players of this generation of football.
Defensive Player of the Year favorite right now.
Right.
Only one other guy has started his career with 4 straight years of 12 or more sacks. That player was Reggie White. It's Reggie White and Micah Parsons. That's it.
If Baker Mayfield can walk into the Carolina Panthers offense with one of the worst coaching staffs of all time there when Frank Reich was still coaching that team,
remind me how
and
bad
can
Frank
walk
Reich
in and
is.
have 1 week of practice and find a way to learn that playbook and win a game for them. If Malik Willis can come into the Packers offense with, yes, granted, a little bit of a better coach and a better system around him, but can come into that Packers offense and perform immediately on short notice, then I think Micah Parsons can do the same thing on the defense.
It's interesting, though. You're talking about a different position, right? I mean, you were running off some quarterbacks there.
A different position that's a little bit easier to play, if we're being honest. That takes less mental focus.
I wasn't going to say that. I didn't want to make fun of defensive linemen. But
It's
I'd
true.
let you take that shot as an offensive lineman. They always say the smartest positions normally on the field are offensive line and the quarterback. Then after that, you can figure out where the next smartest offensive people are. And the only reason they say that is because those dumb Wonderlic tests that everybody used to take back in the day. The highest scores came from the offensive line and the quarterback mostly. Remember, it was a whole big to-do whenever somebody didn't have a high Wonderlic score at quarterback. Oh, that's a horrible pick. You can't take him because he got like a 10 on the Wonderlic. Remember that?
Yeah, that's pretty dumb to me. I think the reason I think those 2 positions are probably the smartest on the field is because I think those are really the only 2 positions that are thinking about more than themselves at most points during a game. I think an offensive line has to work with 4 other guys and have to think about what 4 other guys are doing in order to make sure that they are working as a unit and making plays work that way.
It's a synchronized dance for the offensive
Exactly.
line.
A quarterback is directing everybody else on that offense, and then maybe a middle linebacker would be the 3rd position I would pick, because, again, that's a guy that's directing everybody on that defense. A wide receiver is really only thinking about his route and making his option route. A running back is really only thinking about his cuts and what cuts he's making. Defensive linemen are thinking about, am I going left, right, or straight? That's like through all levels of football that I played, that is the basis of being a defensive lineman, is either going left or right. And if you can do that, if you know how you can do that, you can be a pretty damn good defensive lineman. So
the other thing that came up today with Matt LaFleur when he was talking earlier today, the Packers get ready for the Lions, is the fact that the Lions have 2 different coordinators this year. Obviously, we all know Ben Johnson down there coaching the Chicago Bears, one of the best offensive play callers in football. We'll see what he does with Caleb Williams. And then Aaron Glenn leaves and goes to be the head coach of the New York Jets and that horrible organization. So they're both gone, which means that Dan Campbell had to replace him. So John Morton is the offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator is Kelvin Shepard. We have no idea what these 2 guys are going to bring to the table. We have no idea how much the offense will change for the Detroit Lions or how much the defense will change for the Detroit Lions. So Matt LaFleur was asked about having to go against that in week 1.
Yeah, it's like this every year, week 1, no matter who you're playing. If they do have a lot of film, you just have to prepare for unscouted looks. You got to trust your rules. Everybody makes tweaks around the league. Or I should say most teams make some tweaks around the league in the offseason. But certainly I would expect that these new coordinators are going to have their own flavor to what they want to do and what their identity is going to be.
Yes, I agree. You make tweaks, but you have your entire staff coming back. Your entire offense pretty much is back intact at this point, right? You added Matthew Golden, so okay, maybe that. Musgrave is finally healthy. But for the most part, people know what you are at this point and have an idea of what you are. On the defensive side of the ball, this screws up Dan Campbell and the Lions because now you added Micah Parsons, who can wreck a game by himself. You did not have that talent on this team prior, so who knows what Jeff Hadley's going to come up with. So that's advantage Packers and puts the Lions at a little bit of a disadvantage. From anybody facing the Bears, you're watching Lions tape, and hoping you have an idea of what they're going to do offensively. But that is not the same talent in Chicago as he had in Detroit. So even at that point, that's still a guessing game of whether or not he's going to run the same offense, because you don't know if Caleb Williams can run what Jared Goff could run. You don't know what he can handle at this point. It may be more of a vanilla scaled back offense to start the year. So you still don't really know. This I do know. That offense and defense for the Detroit Lions is not going to be the same. The play caller and Goff have to get on the same page. They were on the same page previously, him and Ben Johnson, and that's what made Jared Goff so good. There is going to be a learning period between Morden and Goff to start the year. I can almost but guarantee you, I would be absolutely shocked if this offense came out clicking on all cylinders and torched this Packers defense. I really would. I expect there to be some learning going on between both of these guys. Not saying the Packers will win the game necessarily, but just saying there's going to be a learning period going on that Lions offense. To a certain degree, I think it helps the Packers coming back intact more so than it's going to help any other team having to go through new coordinators, new quarterbacks, and so forth, Charlie.
Definitely. I think that the Packers, this kind of consistency throughout having their roster majority the same, should benefit them a little bit in that facet like you're talking about. Also, though, people know what they're going to be running here. I think people kind of understand what you're going to get out of a Josh Jacobs, what you're going to get out of a Jordan Love, what you're going to get even out of a Jeff Hafley defense at this point. So I think those things kind of work against them, whereas the Bears have basically a brand new roster along with a brand new coaching staff. So you have Ben Johnson as the head coach, but really it's Caleb Williams and DeAndre Swift, a couple new pieces on the offensive line, and a brand new wide receiver room, basically. This is different, and I think that may kind of work for the Chicago Bears in that sense. I don't think the Lions have that same benefit because they're coming back with the same roster, but now they're also coming back with two new coordinators that, like you said, they need to get on that same page. I think the Bears, at least the new coaching staff, along with the new team, are on the same page. I think the Lions are in more trouble when it comes to that if they can't figure it out early enough.
The other thing that got brought up, more of a fun thing, happy thing, in fact, the Packers actually get to start in Lambeau this year, a rarity for the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur talked about that.
I think week one is the most playoff type atmosphere that you can come by, just in terms of everybody, the excitement, the energy in the stadium. The fans are certainly going to be rowdy. Everybody's been itching, missing football. So, I think it's a big deal because I expect our crowd to show up and show out for us.
You know, I've never heard anybody to this point, I could be wrong, never heard anybody refer to week one as playoff atmosphere. Never. Just like I've never heard anybody gloss the Packers and Lambeau before playing them in a rivalry game like Dan Campbell did. I've never heard a coach classify a week one game as a playoff game. And I think that probably is true with what Matt LaFleur is saying. Why? Because every fan base believes in Santa when we start the season. That, hey, this goes right, that team, ends up in some type of tragic accident, maybe we can win. That is where everybody starts the season. Baseball, not so much. Nobody in Pittsburgh thought the Pirates were winning the World Series this year when the season started. But in the NFL, you can find examples all over the place of teams that were horrible one year and ended up making a run into the playoffs the next year and giving themselves a chance. Now, who that is going to be this year, we'll get into predictions and stuff on a Football Friday on this show, but I think that is a little bit different, which then leads to what? Sold out stadiums and fans being jacked and excited. And then when the Jaguars are down by 30, all the excitement is gone and that stadium's empty again, Charlie. But that's how it kind of goes in week one.
That is. And I think that with the NFL also, more so than maybe the MLB or even the NBA, you get fans that just stick with their teams longer throughout a season too. They always believe that teams can just turn it around. I feel like there's some baseball fans that are just like, once the season seems like it's over, no matter what. If you feel like you're winning the World Series, you're winning the World Series for the rest of the way. It doesn't change at all. It really feels like once you have those ideas. In football, I mean, Jags fans, can lose by 30 in week one, but then they'll sit there for the next 8 weeks and say, you know what, we can come back from this. We can go 500 and still make the playoffs and run for the Super Bowl. I don't think any other fan base across sports does that besides football fans.
That's exactly right. Charlie Usen over there, Steve Sparky Fifer over here, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, check them out. 6,500 square feet, 2 levels, private elevator up to that second floor. You can rent out that second floor for private birthday parties, luncheons, whatever the case may be. Plus, they have those beautiful radio and TV studios up there on the second floor as well that a lot of people will be doing their shows out of, including this one throughout the course of time going forward. Now, check this out. The Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen is amazing. Burgers, wings, wraps, salads, you name it, they got it. All-day brunch, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, all there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. And if that wasn't enough, when you get off that parking garage right there on that 4th floor, gambling kiosks right there. So you can make reservations at any of those fine dining restaurants around the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Make your wagers there. Go have some dinner. Catch the second half of the game down at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Cash that winning ticket in. Feel good about yourself because dinner just got paid for because you made a smart bet. Head on out. Maybe play some craps or some poker on the way out and head on home. That right there, Charlie, using maybe a perfect evening for many people listening.
I mean, they got it all set up for you. They got everything for you to do. I mean, you don't have to do anything but show up.
That's exactly right. And if you're looking for, that place to go watch that game, again, they can show you 30 sporting events at one time, 2,000 square foot screen. It is a no-brainer. But college football, pro football, I'm telling you, packed, crazy. Reserve your seat ahead of time so you don't have to take the chance of maybe not having anywhere to sit. And this place is huge. It holds like 300 people, something like that. So again, go reserve your seat today. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Reserve your seat for this weekend's week 1 action for the pro. And what would it be? Week 2 for college football, I guess, at this point?
Yep.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Wisconsin this week against some team that probably plays Elmhurst?
You know what? Before last week, I said, they're going to kill them. It should be real easy. After watching the Miami-Ohio game, I think anybody can beat the Badgers at this point. That was just not fun to watch, man.
No. I disagree. I don't think that necessarily is the case, if we're being honest at this point.
You're all of a sudden positive about the Badgers now?
No, I just think Middle Tennessee may be the worst team in football at this point. They lost 34-14 to Austin Peay last week.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Come on, man.
That's not great.
Like, this better be the week where this offense looks like an actual Big Ten offense. It may not look like this the rest of the year, but it better look this way against Middle Tennessee. And I believe Derek Mason is the head coach of that team. So, again, take advantage here, Wisconsin, and do something and put a thumping on Middle Tennessee coming up this week. That would be nice to see. Coming up next, Micah Parsons is a member of the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, we have all been talking about it, but what comes with it? What kind of handcuffs yourself to Micah Parsons when you make this type of a deal? If you're a Gutekunst, if you're a LaFleur, if you're an Ed Policy taking over for Mark Murphy, what comes with making this type of deal? We'll discuss that straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Broad House downtown. Come on out, say hi, take the free shuttles to and from Brewers games, and don't forget the big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz is here, taking pictures, signing autographs. He's here 5 to 6:30 with the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Get you ready for every single Milwaukee Brewers game all season long. Our 1 hour plus pregame show, only station in town doing it.
You got an Ucky heating and cooling.
Oh, I do indeed. See, you're a beautiful producer. Right now, time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Ucky Heating and Cooling. 66 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, a gale watch from 1 a.m. on Friday until 10 a.m. on Friday. Now, I will tell you that I think, having been on that sailboat and having Louis' last regatta coming up here at the end of September 27th, check out more of that. Our promo's been running on there. Go check out more about that. Charlie will tell you, he and I were both on a sailboat last year. Gale warning is something, if you're in a sailboat, you want to pay attention to, Charlie.
Definitely. That can be dangerous if you're out on the water. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you're going to be out on the water, guys.
Gale watch Friday, 1 a.m. until 10 a.m. on Friday. Tonight, a low of 45. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Broad House, downtown Milwaukee. Come on out over 3rd Street. This is where you want to be, man. We got the Sun Cruiser T-shirts, the koozies. We got the hats going on. We got the relief pitcher fan T-shirts out here, the fan bucket hats, the stress balls, the fan bags. We were talking about this earlier. You could use it for like your grocery shopping and stuff. Very cool, like baby blue colored bag with a fan logo on it. Come take advantage of all of that. Baseball calls for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Plus, each Sun Cruiser is only 100 calories and 4.5% alcohol, making it perfect for anywhere your watch party takes you. Crack one open today. Let the good times cruise, Milwaukee. So, again, thanks to them for having us out here. Appreciate that. And don't forget, if you love Wendy's classic chocolate vanilla frosty flavors, there's some big news. Their all-new Frosty Swirls are in now Frosty Fusions. Same creamy treat you've always loved. Now they flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, we got the Frosty Swirl, strawberry, brownie, batter, caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, and Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's all-new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic. It's got to be Wendy's. All right, let's continue talking about the Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons. Don't forget, Tommy Wirtz is out here, 5 to 6:30 at the Broad House, getting you ready for the Brewers with our leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He's sitting over here, hanging out, waiting for his time to shine. Charlie, Micah Parsons comes in a trade, give up 2 first-round draft picks. You also give up Kenny Clark, which isn't end-of-the-world stuff by any stretch of the imagination. But something that I wanted to talk about today, because I think it is definitely going to be a talking point throughout the years he's under contract for the Packers. And that is, do you view this Parsons move by the Packers as Super Bowl or bust for the next 4 years? Is it Super Bowl or bust for the next 4 years? These last 2 years have not been Super Bowl or bust. There has been no Super Bowl or bust on the Packers. Last year, there wasn't that expectation with Green Bay. There certainly wasn't 2 years ago. 2 years ago, people didn't think they even have a winning record. So they have not played under this type of expectation since Jordan Love has been the starting quarterback. They themselves, the players, prior to last year said, hey, man, we want to get further and we want to get to the Super Bowl. We think we're good enough. We can go right now. Obviously, they weren't. They lost their first game in the playoffs to the Eagles. But now as we sit here with Micah Parsons, now that everybody's putting them with Philadelphia as the top tier in the NFC, now it feels like, okay, now it is kind of at that point where if it's not Super Bowl or bust now, it's definitely going to be Super Bowl or bust in 26 if it's not in 25, Charlie.
It's Super Bowl or bust right now. Yeah, when you trade for Micah Parsons to a team that, again, I think a lot of people felt like we're in that second tier of team in the NFC. And I know there was, like we were talking about, a pretty big gap between the first tier and those second tier teams. This Packers team has separated themselves from that second tier by making this trade. And I think if you went into that locker room and asked each of the players on that 53-man roster whether or not they feel like this is a Super Bowl caliber roster, if they felt like that they're going for a Super Bowl this year, I think at least 50 of those 53 are saying, yes, we can go to a Super Bowl. We feel like this roster is good enough to at least go to a Super Bowl. And if that's the case, and if the front office feels like that's the case, because I don't think you make this trade, I don't think you sign Micah Parsons to the contract you do unless you feel like you are a Super Bowl caliber team. And if they feel like that, then yes, this is Super Bowl or bust for the next 4 seasons as long as you have Micah Parsons.
I think that is something that comes along with it. But the other thing that comes along with it, if you're saying it's Super Bowl or bust, and if I'm saying it's Super Bowl or bust, you have to think Ed Policy, who's running the show in Green Bay, is saying the exact same thing with 2 dudes with 2 years left on their deal. Now, you and I both talked. This definitely guarantees that Gutekunst is going to get extended, right?
Yes.
There's
100%.
no question. He's getting extended. What does LaFleur now have in this little thing in order to get himself extended going forward? I mean, if I saw today, they did a thing on ESPN, a simulation of the entire season. The Packers did not make the playoffs in their simulation. The Colts won the South. That tells you how bad of a simulation it was. Horrible. They had the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, I believe it was, against the Buffalo Bills in that Super Bowl in their simulation of the season. But the Packers not making the playoffs, I was like, okay, well, this is pointless. I'm not looking at this anymore. But, I mean, if something crazy like that were to happen where Micah Parsons doesn't miss any games, plays all year, Jordan Love doesn't miss any games. He plays all year, and they're relatively healthy, and they still miss the playoffs. And I don't care how many wins they have. You could tell me they're 10-7, 11-6. Let's say they're 11-6 and they miss the playoffs. It's not going to matter, right? I mean, if you're Ed Policy, if you're Packer fans, you're going to be livid that you had Micah Parsons and couldn't make the playoffs, Charlie. And how much of that will be put on Matt LaFleur for missing the playoffs, even though he might have a good record?
Well, if you go 11-6 and miss the playoffs, I think that pretty much guarantees you have equal to or worse than a 1-5 record against the NFC North again, which I think is probably the biggest problem and the biggest complaint, again, like I talked about before, that a lot of people had with this Packers team last year and with Matt LaFleur specifically last year.
Let's bring that up, because Matt LaFleur was asked about how bad their division record was. Charlie, you have that clip, right? Let's bring that up. LaFleur was asked about that earlier today, about, hey, man, like, how big of a deal is it that y'all, didn't win more games? How do you win more games in your division? This is LaFleur.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with specifically Detroit, in both games that we played them, we got behind way too early, and that's hard to do against a really good football team. We had a couple costly turnovers really in both games that ended up being critical plays. So we've got to do a great job really offensively in our return units, hanging on to that football. Defensively, we've got to make a game-changing play in some facet to be able to get the ball out. I think we had one interception in the 2 games last year on Keyshawn's pick. And so, but getting off to a fast start, I think, is critical when you're playing against a really good football team.
I agree with you on the fast start and getting off to a really good start one way or the other. I don't think, if the bet existed at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, if the over-under was, say, 2 wins in the division this year for the Green Bay Packers, I think I would go over. I would take the over and say the Packers will win more than 2 games in the division, considering they only won 1 last year out of 6 games. I think they beat the Vikings both times, and I think they get the Bears at least 1 time, if not 2, this season. Now, I don't know. They may lose both games to the Lions, but as far as the Vikings and Bears, I think they have every opportunity to win both against the Vikings and at least win 1 against the Chicago Bears.
I think I'm with you on that. I'm also not going to be surprised, though, if they were to go 0-6 in the division, if I'm being completely honest.
Jeez, what are we doing?
I mean, this is the toughest division in all of football. By far, in my mind, it's going to be the NFC North. I don't think any other division, maybe the AFC West gets there if the Raiders can be better than what I think the roster says they are. But outside of that, nothing beats the NFC North. I think it's the most talented division in all of football. And the Green Bay Packers are going to have real tests every single time they're playing one of these teams. And if that's the case and they can't win a game or they go 1-5 again in the NFC North, that, again, is going to be an issue for Matt LaFleur. Controlling the pace of play was the reason that the Lions won both the games last year, was the reason the Vikings won one of the games, and then the reason that the Bears won that second game against the Packers, because they controlled the pace of play and were just able to kind of fluster the Packers. I think for Matt LaFleur to have some kind of job security this year, you have to go out and you have to prove right away that this is not going to be the same as last year. That's why this first week is going to be important against the Detroit Lions, once again, because it sets the tone for the rest of the season. And Matt LaFleur is going to need that.
Yeah, I think that is probably true to a certain degree. I don't, like I said, and we've been going back and forth about this all day, I just don't think these first 2 games, they don't mean a whole bunch to me, really, at the end of the day. Like, I'm more concerned about getting healthy than I am about being 2-0 or 1-1. Like, if they're 0-2 after next Thursday, I'm not going to be freaking out. Some of you may be freaking out, like Green Bay football postgame show on Sunday after Green Bay plays Detroit, and Tommy and I are taking calls and reacting to social media. Y'all might be losing your minds. I'm not going to be losing my mind unless, I will have a caveat, unless Love gets hurt or Parsons goes off on a stretcher because of his back. Either one of those 2 happen, then yes, you're going to hear me here. You're going to hear me yelling in California. If those 2 guys are healthy and walk off the field and they lose and everybody is good for next week, I will be fine. I may be frustrated by what I saw, but it's not going to be end of the world if they're 0-1. It's not end of the world if they're 0-2 at this point.
I don't think it's end of the world, but I also think you get a lot more confidence if you finish it 2-0. If you start the season 1-1, I think you're a lot more confident about the season. And again, when you're in this kind of transition period of going from being just the young team, the young hot team in the league, to trying to get back to that kind of caliber that you've seen with the past two iterations of this team with the coaches and the quarterbacks that you've had, if you want to take that next step, again, I think you have to prove that to yourself early moving forward here. And again, beating the Lions, getting an early lead in the division would be nice in order to show that you're not the same exact team from the past two seasons. Because what we're seeing so far is that the wide receivers are dropping the balls.
Yep.
Offensive linemen are having the penalties, and we're already dealing with injuries. Those are all three issues that we had last season that I don't really want to see again this season with this Green Bay Packers team. And I think first you start by winning in the division to get rid of that monkey on your back.
Mornings can all start to feel the same. So if you're looking for a fresh wake-up call, look no further than Wendy's Breakfast. Try a breakfast Baconator with fresh cracked eggs and crispy bacon, a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or maybe even a honey buddy. Don't even think about sleeping on Wendy's seasoned potatoes and English muffin sandwiches. Doesn't matter what you go for. It's gonna change your life. All right, well, it's at least gonna freshen up your morning. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? It's gotta be Wendy's. Coming up on the other side, things we missed on today's show. Charles Barkley with an interesting take on the NBA and where we're at today. And we'll also get our first thoughts from Tommy Wirtz as he gets ready for the leadoff show, part of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at the Broad House, downtown Milwaukee, right here on Old World 3rd Street. Tommy will be coming up doing his show here as well from 5 to 6:30. We got the Sun Cruiser T-shirts. We got the Sun Cruiser hats, the can koozies. We got the relief pitcher fan T-shirts, the fan bucket hats, the bags as well. Come get all of it out here on our table at the Broad House, downtown Milwaukee. Shuttles to and from every Brewers home game. They got the coach bus rides as well to the Green Bay Packer games. So take advantage of all of that here at the Broad House. Check them out online at thebroadhousemilwaukee.com. And again, listen here. I want to say one other thing about this. MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com. I'll make sure I got that right. If you go on their website, MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com, and look at Coach Bus Rides, as we mentioned earlier, yes, they have the Packers. Yes, they have the tailgate party that you can get tickets to. You can just go for the bus ride if you just want to go hang out up there as well. You can just get the tailgate party wristband if you want to meet everybody up there that's going up there on the bus. All kinds of different options for you, but they also have Alpine Valley with all the concerts they have out there, also something that people may not be aware of. Quick time out, come back. Things we missed. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on The Fan. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live at the Milwaukee Broad House. Come on out, hang out, free shuttles to and from Brewers games, as well as to and from Green Bay games, Alpine Valley, and more. Check it out, MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com. And again, wouldn't be out here at the Milwaukee Broad House without our fine friends over there at Sun Cruiser. Make sure you get the Sun Cruiser vodka iced tea when you're out here at the Milwaukee Broad House downtown. Made with real iced tea, real vodka, refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. Perfect for a game day sipper. And Tommy Wirtz is out here getting ready for the fine leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, coming up from 5 until 6:30 tonight. First pitch right around 6:40 this evening at American Family Field between the Brewers and Phillies. We'll talk to him momentarily. First, things that we missed on today's show. I want to play this clip from Charles Barkley and get your thoughts from Tommy and Charlie on what Charles Barkley has to say.
Why did they have to come up with Bruce, Bill? Because all these guys want to play together and not compete. If I had $1 for every time I heard the second apron, why did Adam Silver have to put the second apron in? Because LeBron got all his guys together. KD wanted to go play with the Warriors. I hate when I hear, man, the second apron's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? If y'all stop all wanting to play together, we wouldn't have to make up bogus rules to stop y'all from playing together.
Okay, so let me first start by saying the reason why you have super teams is because of what Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics did. They were the ones that started this crap. And I'm not mad at Danny Ainge and the Celtics, but he's the one that traded for Garnett. He's the one that traded for Ray and got Ray to come from Seattle. Ray was in Seattle with Rashard Lewis. KG was in Minnesota, and he was able to get both of them to come play with Paul Pierce, and then drafted Rondo and put themselves in a position to make that run. And then after LeBron saw what they did and how they went about doing it, they decided to use free agency to go team up with Dwayne Wade. If Boston doesn't do what they did and show what they did, mind you, they only won one. But the fact that they did it and could figure it out salary-wise, that's what led to all of this. The second apron is a great way to make sure there are no dynasties in the NBA. That's essentially what this is. And that is something that if there's not going to be a salary cap in Major League Baseball, they're going to have to consider that when the next CBA comes up at the end of next December, Tommy.
I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it at all. If guys want to play with whoever they want to play with, honestly, I think it's a better product sometimes if there is a dynasty in sports.
Yep.
Specifically, also, everyone pointing to Kevin Durant, like that was a dynasty waiting to happen before Kevin Durant got there as well. And they did that naturally as well. They drafted Draymond Green in the second round. Everyone could have had Draymond Green. They drafted Steph Curry when Minnesota took Johnny Flynn right before him as well.
But remember, everybody forgets this. Curry had bad ankles coming out of Davidson. There was questions of whether or not he could stay healthy. And even early in his career, he was having problems staying on the floor.
And on top of it, Klay Thompson was also, 11th or 14th or something like that as well. Like they did that naturally, and they won a chip, got there as well without Kevin Durant and a super team on top of that. And Boston, you forgot to mention, like Doc Rivers gets to ride that for the rest of his career, that he won one championship with the team that was extremely stacked and did nothing else after that.
Yeah, but you had a lot of personalities, and you had Rondo trying to be the leader of that group. You can say whatever you want about how good Doc isn't, whatever. But when you are managing a bunch of the egos like they had in Boston or Golden State for Steve Kerr, a master manipulator of personalities and the psychology of the game and getting guys to all get together and pull in the same direction.
Sure.
Yes, X's and O's are important, all that other stuff, but a lot of it is making sure this works the right way. That's what makes Dan Campbell so good in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the X's and O's. It's how good he is relating to players and getting guys to buy in.
Yeah, and I think that that's a very good talent of coaching as well, especially at the professional level. It's much more important probably than the X's and O's, right? You got way more people dealing with the X's and O's than just you on a professional organization. Now, I do think that also noting with super teams, baseball has the Dodgers and maybe the Yankees as well too, right? But they also haven't really translated to a bunch of success with super teams since 1930 or whatever it is with the Yankees. So I don't want baseball personally to get into a salary cap game, and I know it would only benefit Milwaukee and small markets if they do, but ultimately I don't see it as a major problem either.
That's the thing too about this. I think when you talk about where you are right now for this team, when we start talking about the Bucks and what they're trying to do, they never really had a super three because I don't think Milton really falls into that, right? At the end of the day, he never falls into that category. Drew Holiday was never really a super three guy. The closest they would have had would have been Damian Lillard to go along with Giannis, and then maybe you get another guy. You could argue, wow, back in the day, right, Ray Allen, Sam Cassell, and those guys, you can argue those guys were in a better position to be a super three back then or a big three back then than maybe even anybody else was coming up. And that's what made them so good when they got to take on Philadelphia, which was Iverson and a bunch of dudes. It wasn't Iverson and two superstar players back then against Philadelphia. All right, only got another minute or so left here. Tommy Wirtz, what's coming up on the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, as we get ready for Brewers-Phillies Game 2 out here at the Milwaukee Broad House, downtown Milwaukee.
Yeah, we're going to hear from the manager, Pat Murphy. He spoke to the media earlier today. On top of that, we also have some news from Shelby Miller. His season over, it sounds like now. Maybe career, honestly. With Shelby. Just the tone of the interview was not great with Shelby Miller, so he might have pitched his last innings of Major League Baseball just on the timing. We're also going to obviously go through our building a winner feature presented by Ironworkers Local 8. Minor leagues wrapping up here pretty soon. I think it's the last week of action that you got for many of it. Some seasons over already, but we'll wrap things up over there. Jesus Mate, Luis Pena,
Fisher last night was
Fisher big. Can't stop hitting home runs as well. So that'll be an exciting time, and of course, just get you all caught up on all things Brewers Phillies ahead of first pitch, 6:40 today.
We're being honest, Pena kind of sucks right now. I mean, what's he hitting, like $150?
Who are you asking?
Luis Pena?
Oh, Pena, yes.
He's struggling at high end.
He is. He was off to a fast start and then started struggling a little more on this back end. Mate is insane. And you sent me over Jim Bowden's list from the New York Times and The Athletic. Yep. Having them probably too low. We'll talk about it a little bit in the Building a Winner feature as well.
All right, very good. There he is, Tommy Wirtz. Stay tuned for him coming up next out here at the Milwaukee Broad House. He'll take you up to 6:30 with the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Our thanks to Sun Cruiser. Have one of those vodka iced teas when you're out here as well. And again, we got the shirts, the koozies, the hats. We got all the fan apparel as well with the relief pitcher shirts out here, the bags, the bucket hats for the fan, all of them available. If you want to come out here, grab one, feel free to do so and get on those shuttles to and from Brewers home games out here at the Milwaukee Broad House. We'll talk to you again tomorrow starting at 2. I'm going to see if we can get Gilbert Brown on this show tomorrow afternoon. Maybe we'll get Gilbert Brown on to talk about this.
Are you name dropping right now at the end?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get him. I'm going to try. I literally just thought about getting him because, he played with Reggie White and a part of all that, and now you have Micah Parsons here. Like, I thought it would be a good tie-in. So we'll see if we can run down Gilbert Brown tomorrow as well. Don't forget, this show will start at 3 tomorrow as Tommy will be on, right, at 2 o'clock tomorrow?
Excited. Yeah. Should be awesome.
2 o'clock. Tommy Wirtz with the leadoff show, and then Wisconsin Sports Daily, abbreviated 2-hour version from 3 to 5 tomorrow afternoon. Have a good one. Toodles.